health. So that's the reason that he's giving us for announcing his resignation. But Jared, you actually have been covering this story since we broke it around 6:30, 7 o'clock this morning. You actually spoke to Richard Sticca this morning. What did he have to tell you this morning?
Pretty much the same thing. We asked about the allegations of sexual abuse in the church during his time as bishop and then covering up those sexual abuse claims. He denied all of it. He says that is not the case at all. The reason why he is resigning today and has resigned is because of health concerns. Now, we did ask him specifically about these health concerns because he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in 1980 and then had some health concerns recently, like 2009, 2015 is when those most recent health scares came. So we asked, like, the timing seems a little interesting. You had those health concerns, you know, years ago, and now this investigation into your leadership and these sexual abuse claims in the church while he was bishop came and started in 2021. So a lot to unpack there, but the timing of it is something we're definitely looking into still.
And that is something that you asked him. What was his response to that?
He said timing is timing.
Sure.
He kept it very short. He didn't try to go into too much detail. He kind of tried to point the other direction, saying, well, these people are obsessed with me and they're trying to figure out more. But they just said, then he just said, hey, timing is timing. It's my time to be done. And when you look at this, he actually retires at a younger age. The average age is right around 75 for the church. He's 65 years old. He's turning 66 on July 4th. So it is pretty early on to retire for him as bishop.
And this is just off of North Shore, right here in front of the church. We have seen protesters in the streets over the past couple of years. Of course, this coming off of those 2 years of allegations, some lawsuits that he's claiming those lawsuits are just one-sided, and again is denying these allegations. Jared, I do want to get to the interview because, again, you were there this morning right when this news broke. You got an exclusive interview with him. Walk us through that process, what that looked like this morning, and then we're going to hear that interview. You
know, it was just one of those things. We were right place, right time. We were outside the chancery where he stays at 9 o'clock. He pulled up and said, I want to do an interview. So he was the one who approached us wanting to do this interview. And he basically told us everything that we kind of shared. You know, he's denying all these allegations. He wants to make it clear this is specifically for health reasons. And then we were just point blank with him, being like, what do you have to say about these sexual abuse claims and people who are making these claims? And again, he denied it. And we'll see that here in the interview in a second.
And even before we get to this, he also made it very clear that he himself was the victim of sexual abuse. So we're going to hear from him. We'll play that interview right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I requested for retirement. I've been diabetic for 43 years. I'm blind in my right eye now. I've had a heart attack and 4 stents. Now I'm getting neuropathy in my legs and feet, and I just noticed that this spring I visited 37 parishes in 6 weeks. I'm just running out of energy, and I think after 14 years, lots of accomplishments, it's just time to move on.
And we have to talk about the last 2 years. We know we've heard about the sexual abuse claims and everything with that, and also some priests in this area questioning leadership. What do you have to say to that right now?
Well, I can't talk much about the lawsuit, but I really believe in the justice system. And, you know, a lawsuit is just one side of the story. You know, we haven't been able to present our side. In terms of the priest, anytime you're in leadership, you have to make decisions. And I always pray over decisions and I seek advice. And sometimes people always don't agree, you know, from the Pope on down. People disagree with Jesus, you know. So it's disappointing that some went to the press. But besides that, you know, that's just part of being a leader.
And we also have to talk about the timing, too. You know, you mentioned health concerns. You were a diagnosed diabetic in 1980, had some health scares in the last couple of years. But this investigation has been started really in 2021. Does that timing concern you at all as to why you're resigning?
No, I think it's just, I mean, I got to be honest that there's a particular website that has been obsessed with me. And there's been a lot of distortions. They've said that, you know, I've taken a deacon from another diocese that had a troubled history. Never happened. They said I had an alias, Richard Dinsmore. It was just junk mail at my old rectory, you know, so I don't believe anything that they say. So, you know, timing is timing. My body has just kind of told me it's time.
Do you have anything to say to anybody who's making the claims of sexual abuse?
Well, I've never been accused of sexual abuse, and I've never covered up sexual abuse. I myself was a victim of sexual abuse when I was a freshman in high school by a priest. And look at me. I did the therapy, and I'm quite honest and open with it. So I see both sides of the story, and no matter what anyone says, I would never tolerate sexual abuse of a minor or a vulnerable adult.
Now, we obviously heard from there quite a bit, about a 2.5-minute interview. We actually had that for you guys live at 9 o'clock this morning, but we did record on it just because this is so important to share, because this is the first time he's been able to speak with anybody after resigning. Now, one thing I do want to make mention of, something I will ask the Diocese of Knoxville about, is specifically just talking more about that resignation, the timing of it, and then kind of the process to get a new bishop in, because right now we just have a temporary fill for it right now, too.
Yes, yes, and that person coming out of Louisville, and we're going to talk more about Bishop Shelton Faub, who is the Archbishop of Louisville, who is now appointed as the almost the interim position to also cover in Knoxville, and this position is actually appointed by Pope Francis. Now, because Richard Sticca has announced his resignation, he will still hold the title of Bishop Emeritus of Knoxville, which means retired bishop. So he still will have a role within the church. However, Archbishop Faub will now serve Knoxville until there is an official bishop who is appointed to cover Knoxville. He will still serve in his role in Louisville, but will also be responsible in Knoxville as well. And then there's a picture right now of Shelton Faub, who is in Louisville again, but will help in the transition for the Diocese of Knoxville, serving as a temporary bishop in Knoxville as well. And you got some information, Jared, some statements too, from Knoxville regarding the resignation this morning.
So outside of our interview, we actually beforehand got a very lengthy statement from the Diocese of Knoxville. We'll see if we can pull that up for you. Now, this is just a small piece of it. It was about 5 or 6 paragraphs, so we've got this part. It says, I recognize that questions about my leadership have played out publicly in recent months. I would be less than honest if I didn't admit that some of this had weighed on me physically and emotionally. Then he goes on to say, people will speculate on why I'm doing this. I have been dealing with life-threatening health issues most of my adult life. My desire is to remain in active ministry. I offer my genuine, heartfelt apology to anyone I have disappointed over the years. Now, when he's talking about that lesser role in the church, he does plan on going back home to St. Louis. We don't know what that role will be, but that's what he has said he's going to do. He's actually, I believe, serving with somebody right now in Knoxville. They're both going to be moving to St. Louis, I should say, just to continue that. We don't know, again, what specifically that role is, but again, no longer bishop in Knoxville.
And to further point out the leadership roles in Knoxville, we've been given a statement here from the Archdiocese of Louisville, who again will be helping in Knoxville. Archbishop Faub will appoint a priest from among those in the Diocese of Knoxville to assist him in his role as more of a leadership position in Knoxville. Again, that just being a temporary position until Pope Francis appoints the new bishop of Knoxville.
And I will make a point real quick, too, is that they had to request a resignation for Bishop Sticca. And the reason why the news came out today is because Pope Francis approved that resignation early this morning. So that's why all of this is coming out right now. Pope Francis officially saying Bishop Sticca no longer here in Knoxville, no longer in leadership.
All right, we're going to continue to follow this story for you, of course, as it develops, including at WVLT News at noon, which is in just about 30 minutes. Jared's going to have more from his interview this morning, and we'll have more in-depth coverage for you, as always, on WVLT.tv.